Considering a Guardian bike for your child? At Rascal Rides, we've tested and reviewed every size and model of Guardian bikes and have put in countless hours riding them. They are some of our most highly recommended kids bikes. They're a great pick if one, you're looking for a high quality kids bike but don't have the budget for something like a Woom or a Prevello, or two, they might be a great pick if you have a child that would benefit from their unique proprietary sure-stop braking system. Guardian bikes are great kids bikes even without the sure-stop braking system, but they're definitely what sets them apart from the competition. Unlike traditional hand brakes, sure-stop brakes only have one brake lever. This single lever provides appropriate force to both the front and rear brake, helping to prevent over-the-bars crashes. These types of accidents happen when the child grabs too much front brake. It's a pretty clever design and works as advertised. I think it's a particularly great design for children who are more timid, who have eye-hand coordination issues, or who just aren't ready for the complexity of learning how to use dual hand brakes. Compared to kids' bikes with coaster brakes, the sure-stop braking system shines even more. In our opinion, coaster brakes are ridiculously dangerous for kids, and they also make it really hard to learn how to pedal. While overall I like and recommend sure-stop, there are a couple scenarios where I don't recommend using this system, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the video. Considering that we test and review kids bikes, we have unboxed and assembled about a bajillion bikes over the years. None are easier to put together than Guardian bikes, and they do have really helpful videos on their website as well if you run into any problems. We've also had to contact customer service before, and they are quick and responsive and helpful. That can't always be said for other kids bike brands, especially those on Amazon or the big box stores. And if you don't like the bike for whatever reason, you can return it for up to a full year. There aren't any other kids bike brands that I'm aware of that have that long of a return period, and so it's a really safe bet. Finally, I really appreciate the Ride Sizer tool. It can be kind of stressful figuring out what size bike your child needs, and that really helps make it clear and make sure you're getting the right size. All of the Guardian bikes have steel frames. They used to make them with aluminum, but that's no longer the case. The good news is that steel is a highly durable material, and the frames are well made. They can withstand plenty of abuse from kids and not end up in a landfill. The downside is that steel is heavy. While Guardian bikes are far from the heaviest bikes around, they can't compete with some of the higher end aluminum bikes out there. This isn't a big deal for older kids. My son does really well on the Guardian 26, but it should be taken into consideration for younger and more petite children. Have you ever noticed how awkward most kids look on their bikes? That's due to poor design and geometry. Guardian has taken a page from some of the more expensive kids bike brands and designed their bikes with a low center of gravity, a long wheelbase, a low standover height, and a narrow Q factor. All of this means that your child will have an easier time learning how to ride and riding longer distances. Even though the Guardian bikes aren't the lightest bikes around, the good geometry makes up for quite a bit. Over the last few years, escalating shipping costs and tariffs have raised the price of kids' bikes substantially. The Guardian bikes aren't cheap by any means, but they are more affordable than most of our favorite kids' bike brands. They are more expensive than some Amazon options, but in terms of good quality kids bikes, this is kind of where you start. If you value getting your child a bike with good durability, easy to ride geometry, but don't want to sell a kidney, Guardian is what I recommend. One thing to be aware of is that Guardian does not have a trade-in or trade-up program. We do see this with other kids' bike brands like Woom and Prevello, as well as some of the local bike shop brands like Specialized and Trek. Trade-in programs can be a great deal, especially for parents of only children or with kids far apart in age. But for families with multiple kids where you can pass down the bike, then a trade-in program isn't such a big deal. The good news is that Guardian bikes are durable enough to be handed down through multiple children or even to be resold later on Facebook Marketplace. There are two scenarios where I would not recommend a Guardian bike. The first is if you have a bigger budget. Well, I think Guardian bikes are great. They're still not at the same quality as a Woom or a Provello or an early rider. They're heavier and the quality of the components just isn't at the same level. You'll see this even in the smaller details. The wheel bolts on the Woom 2, for example, are recessed while the Guardian bolts are exposed. The second scenario where I don't recommend Guardian bikes is if you are a mountain bike family or you plan to be in the future. For off-road riding, it is really important to be able to operate both handbrakes independently of one another, which you can't do with the Sure Stop brake. Even if your child isn't currently riding anything crazy, if you are taking them to the pump track or the skills park, then it's important for them to start learning proper braking technique early on. Overall, I think the Guardian bikes do provide a great bang for your buck. While they aren't the #1 bike on our list of favorite kids' bikes, we do still strongly recommend them, especially if you're looking for a bike that offers good value or if your child can benefit in some way from the Sure Stop braking system. Their durable frame, focus on safety, and child-appropriate geometry make them a big step up from the average kid's bike.